Peter. Okay, Mike, where are you at and what are you doing?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Wally. Yeah, no, I joined. I was here about 6 or 7 months ago before the start of our season last year. I'm at Colgate University, and I enjoyed the conversation. And just Thursday mornings didn't work for me because of our schedule. So I'm just happy to be back in the loop and looking to learn and be around peers. So yeah, things are good over here at Colgate University.
So you're still at Colgate?
Yeah, yeah. I'm a head coach at Colgate.
Yeah.
Uh,
How many years?
This is my going into my fourth year now. But I was here as an assistant prior to that, and then prior to that, I played here. So I've been here since 1993, pretty much.
Are you coaching the guys or girls?
Yeah, we're on the men's side. Yep.
Okay. Well, I've had a little bit of university background. Uh, my most of my coaching has been minor hockey and what
Yep.
we call junior A in Canada. And I got to be a skills coach with the '88 Olympic team.
Yep.
And of course, I was involved with women in Salt Lake City, and that was my job at Hockey Canada for 10 years. So, um, no, it's good to have you on. Uh, we're having a guest on from Ontario, Raymond Paras, who's a leadership guy.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm excited about that.
He's a pretty interesting duck, I'll tell you. He's just about done everything you can imagine. He had me come out to University of Ottawa and mentor both their men's and women's staffs, and it was quite an experience. I've been there 3 years, and um, you use the whole week to come in for a week and watch and talk and
Yep.
share ideas,
I
and
love that.
I come away with it having learned a hell of a lot. I tell you, it's a
Yeah.
really good experience. So,
That's fantastic. I'm excited to hear about that. Yeah.
okay. Now, Mike, are you growing up playing and coaching? What's your developmental curve there?
Uh, yeah, I grew up in small town Manitoba, Wally. Um,
Yahoo! I'm from Wadena, Saskatchewan.
are you? Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm from just outside of Winnipeg. Yeah, it was what we did, right? So I played as much as I could. You know what's interesting, Wally? I went to watch our team in the off season here. They have an intramural softball team. They have a league here at Colgate, and our guys put a team in. And so I went to watch them play the other day when I was walking my dog, and I was amazed at how bad we were. You know, these kids, and I'm sure you grew up the same way, Wally. You probably played as soon as the ice was out, you played baseball, right? Or you played
Yep,
another
yep,
sport,
yep, you're
right?
right.
It was incredible how limited our guys were, how unathletic they were.
How old
Uh,
were they?
well, they're college age guys, so
Oh my
they're 20,
God.
21, 22. Yeah,
Yeah.
we got killed by a local fraternity here. Theta Chi gave it to us. They mercy ruled us. So it was a little bit embarrassing to see our Division One athletes be pushed around in another sport. And I get it if it's basketball, right? You're playing against 6 footer, 7 footers or something, right? But
Yeah.
it's an intramural softball, and we couldn't compete. I was like, oh my goodness.
Was it
So
slow pitch?
yeah, slow pitch, yeah, underhand. But our guys, because all they do is play hockey 365 days a year, they didn't grow up like we did, picking up other sports or doing other things, right? So it was just I thought it was an interesting commentary on our hockey players now.
Well,
Mike, and do you think that are you well, I guess the question is did you ask those guys like did they play any sports growing up, other sports, or is it
Pete,
because it's so specialized?
Pete, it was so evident that they'd never played another sport.
Oh my gosh.
It was,
Because
it
I
was,
always think back, I used to have some really good conversations with Kevin McCarthy. He was an assistant with the Whalers and
yeah, yeah,
Nashville
yeah. I know
and all
Kevin.
that, right? And he always said, I always look for the best athlete.
Sure.
So he would always ask those questions.
Sure.
Did you ever play? What did you do growing up? Like, did you play another sport? Did you do this? Did you do that? Whatever it
Right.
might be. But
Right.
I think that it is so interesting that the the push for development has created these robots
Yep.
that are successful and high end in what they do.
Yep.
But it's like taking the robot vacuum cleaner and putting it out on the lawn and trying to figure out why it won't mow the lawn, and the robot lawnmower can't do anything in the house. They're both robots, both super tuned, super high end, efficient operating machines, but just take them out of their element and they're completely lost.
Yeah. Well, part two of that, and Wally, you might see this, maybe not, but injuries happen just from overuse. If you're, I know you work primarily with girls team, Wally, I think, but like if you're playing every day all year, your knees, your hips, your back, like things are gonna hurt. You need to transition into other sports or other activities. So, and I see this. Our guys have bad hips, bad knees because they're playing year round. So I try to force our guys to take at least a month off, but play another sport, fellas.
Like one of the things I learned about athletic injuries,
Yeah.
and it's not necessarily that they played one sport and they haven't developed a balanced muscle groups, but there are many, many athletes that play injured and they recover and they do not regain balanced strength. And there's a therapy out, it's neurokinetic therapy. It's not that new,
Yeah.
but in most Olympic teams here, at the postseason, all the testing determines the balanced muscle groups and the function. And before
Yeah.
they can start to train, be it specialized or whatever, they have to acquire regain strength in the areas that they've been compensating for. I had a player, Judy Didick, her brother Didick played, I believe, played in the NHL for a number of years. And she was in her near the end of her career trying to make the Olympic team in 2002. And she skated with a limp. And we had her tested, and it was too late to do
Huh.
anything about it because she had skated with that limp for 6 or 7 years
Wow.
and handicapped. And she was such a
Sure.
smart player, she could get by. But now, given the pace of the game, it just didn't happen. So,
Right.
Peter, I got a question. Here, I know we're being critical of the players that aren't like we were playing it all, and we played it all. There's some merit to that. But I'm watching the NHL and I'm saying, my God, they're good. Like the skill level that they do achieve and the way they're playing, I never imagined in my lifetime that hockey could be played that fast physically, and the thinking processes and playmaking that's going on and the contact. I'm blown away. So, uh, is there an argument to justify specialization at
Huh.
the very, very top?
Well, at the highest level, I mean, I agree with you. Some of the goals that I've seen that were most impressed with me is, and it's funny because it's kind of you would think that playing softball that this would translate, but obviously it didn't. Is the eye-hand coordination of these guys, the amount of pucks, goals that have been scored this playoffs, it seems that have been pucks that were picked out of the air
Huh.
has been crazy. I mean, the Montreal Canadiens beat Tampa, right, with a goal that bounced off the goalie, off the boards, was in the air, and the guy just kind of turned and swatted it, and it hit the goalie and went in. That ended up being the game winner.
Yeah.
Anaheim, again, we all probably used to marvel at that Steve Yzerman highlight where he scored that goal where he was laying on the ice and was able to flip it up into that. But a goal just like that was scored yesterday for Anaheim. Shot was taken, rebound came out, player was laying on the ice, put it up and over the goaltender into the net. So
Yeah.
the amount of goals being scored that way is just I don't think I've seen it like that uh, in my mind in recent history. That the whole eye-hand coordination, the way some of these goals are just getting by these goaltenders who, I mean, you have no chance on that kind of stuff.
Right.
Well, Mike, coaching at your level, to what degree does uh, becoming a pro athlete through college versus a student athlete? Are you dealing with academic difficulties because the priority is athletic performance and uh, that prioritizes what they're doing? And
Yeah, that's a good question, Wally. I just want to go back to Pete's point about athletes, though. Like, the game-winning goal was who scored that goal? Alex Kerfoot, I think. Is that who scored that goal? Alex Newhook. Sorry, I get him mixed up with
The
Kerfoot.
hook, yeah.
Alex, he grew up in St. John's, Newfoundland. I guarantee he played some softball or some baseball in St. John's, when he was a kid. I guarantee it. He wasn't playing year-round in Newfoundland, for sure not. It's because they shut down some rinks. Anyhow, yeah, Wally. Colgate's a really good school, so our kids value the degree a lot. I mean, maybe it's not as well known in Western Canada, but in the Northeast, if you get a degree from Colgate, you can write your own ticket and make a lot of money somewhere and probably be super successful. So our guys understand that. So it's also a hard institution to get into. So we recruit kids that are high achievers. Um, so yeah, and our sort of motto, Wally, is that if you're a high achiever, you can be a high achiever in life and on the ice, so in the classroom, all of it. So this a place like that attracts these kinds of kids and families.
are you faced with the portal struggle?
Well, this has been the worst month of my life. I've never been more stressed. Essentially what we have, Wally, is at the end of our season, if we have 26 players on our roster, we have 26 free agents because they can go anywhere they want. And any school can call them and recruit them through their agents. It's insanity. It's insanity. And we don't give out NIL money. So, we have a really good player who'll probably play in the NHL. He's a rising junior. He's a third year, rising third year, and he just got offered money from so many different schools. He decided to leave. He's going to Western Michigan next year. Um, and then a week later, another kid got offered some money, and he calls me and says he's going to St. Cloud State. I'm like, and these are not good academic institutions, but they're going for the short term buzz of making a little bit of money,
Yeah.
which is 50,000 or 100,000, and my point is you shouldn't make the most money in your life, when you're 19 or 20 or 21. You should, set yourself up. But it's tempting for these kids and they can go penalty free, right? They can just go to any institution.
Well, the dilemma of that is the same in minor hockey here.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's open boundaries. Kids can go
Yep.
to whatever team they want, and minor hockey coaches are unable to, keep players together for a year or two. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
really it makes things challenging. But the philosophy that we're trying to advocate now, this isn't girls hockey, is commitment and loyalty. That's the bottom line. When you do something, you take it on and you're loyal to the cause, and
Right.
your bigger purpose is the academics achievements. And the secondary purpose is being the teammate you can't be to get the results you can. So, um, that's theoretically, it's ideal. It's not the real world we live in.
No. I,
But
I do believe that's a really good point. I do believe, Wally, it starts with the youth hockey and it's a continuation. And that's why they don't have loyalty. They jump from program to program. Kids now they can play in 3 or 4 different schools over their 4-year career. And it's not that uncommon, which is unfortunate, but it's the same thing. I'm sure you have plenty of youth hockey players in the Calgary area that move from zone 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, right? In a matter of 5 years
yeah.
because they're chasing it.
Well, in my city, Calgary, there's 4 quadrants
Quadrants, I meant. Yeah, not zones, quadrants. I knew it.
If your team, if a player gets cut in one quadrant, they can move counterclockwise one time. And that's a
Crazy.
bit of a stipulation, preventing them from jumping all over. But they
Right.
can go to prep schools. And these
Right.
prep schools and private schools, and we have a program up here called HSL,
Mm.
uh, and they provide 4 ice times, pretty quality coaching, but it's all hockey.
Yeah.
And the competition's so great. We're just trying to keep the perspective in place to maintain the integrity of the program. And we may be wishful thinkers, but you know,
Yeah.
that's it.
Wally, how much of that do you think that you're finding with your group is player driven versus parent driven?
Hmm.
Well, I think it's both, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
When you just can, you look at the society we're growing up in terms of achievement, and whether it's school marks or whether it's sports achievement, uh, kids want the best for themselves, the best opportunity, and so do parents. So I don't. The parents are a big part of it. If you don't have parenting values related to what we're talking about, and you're looking at outcomes, and you're looking at the dollar sign as the end value, or uh, the prestige of a scholarship, not the quality of school you're going to get and education you're going to get doing that, you're going to be misconstrued. And I think there's quite a few people will finish and graduate uh, a little bit disappointed in the final outcome. But I have yet to see any hockey player graduating from any program that hasn't been a success in some way, shape, or form. The sport teaches you that, being a team player. So wherever you go, all of the values that you need in a workplace, and Ray will be on talking about leadership. He'll allude to that, and the art of that particular mechanism to drive people to achieve their goals. But I don't know. I'm not. What do you think, Peter? Is it all parents or?
Well, I always found it a little bit comical when I spoke to a parent of an 8-year-old and they said, yes, my son or daughter, they really need and feel like want to be challenged. So they're really driving this move to go play Team X. Parents actually saying that and unfortunately, I guess believing it. But it will be interesting. You bring up a really good point about obviously all the benefits of our sport, what it brings. It would be interesting to see. I don't know who the company would be. Maybe it's what industry. I don't know if it's insurance industry. I don't know if it's financial industry. But if there's a difference between hiring the athlete versus the non-athlete in terms of what you're talking about, does the athlete tend to be more of a team player within the organization? Do they tend to stay in that company longer than the individual who hasn't been an athlete through their collegiate years? That would be really interesting. I don't know how you would do that, but that just kind of comes to my mind.
Well,
I,
Peter, I've assumed and heard if you have played a team sport, your chances of acquiring a job are greater than those that have done nothing but the academic side of things.
They are, and I agree with that piece, but I'm talking more about once they're there, what does that look like in
Yeah.
terms of longevity, your ability or their ability to move through the company, um, higher up, that type of thing. That would be very interesting, I think.
Well, I think when Ray gets on, I didn't realize this. He's worked with the Rough Riders, the Alouettes, and professional teams, and um, he's seen, the pro sports side of things, but he's done much more work in the corporate setting. Like I think he's listed close to 20 companies that he's done leadership work with. So here he is taking he's a civil engineer, taking that background, applying it to sports and teamwork and having success. So it depends on the company that hires you. I grew up in companies that lived on the Peter principle. You rise to your level of incompetence, and sometimes when you speak your mind and express your opinions, you're shunned and you're put off to the side and you're not respected. And that occurs too often. So I think organizational leadership is benefiting from, the kind of leadership we're looking for in coaches to develop good people, good human beings, first and foremost. And I think in the process, whether you're from Newfoundland playing in the NHL, scoring that kind of goal, those guys have character. Now, they may become a little distorted mentally because of the commitment they've had to make with their lives and the zealous level of competition. I mean, it's mind-boggling to me that they could perform that well, that hard, that long in the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's just, I've got nothing more, I have more respect for the NHL now than I have at any other time. I just love the way they play. It's really good. They're taking the bullshit out of the game that we grew up in, and they've got a degree of fitness and physicality and athleticism that it sets a bar, which, on the women's side, I'm saying we've got a long ways to go. And even at all levels on the male side, unless you get to that level, you realize you've got a long way to go. And so getting there is a very, very difficult challenge.
Wally, what do you mean when you say they've taken all the bullshit out of hockey?
Well, I'm just not sure what my mind was saying at the time, but the bullshit is people wanting to be given something and not earning it, and creating the confusion, difficulty for the staff and teammates because they feel entitled and they've been growing up entitled. In their minor hockey communities, they were double shifted and they stayed out too long. And when they get to you, I'm sure you've encountered a few of those players who had to realize what a 40-second shift was about.
You're not wrong.
Well, the other part of that too is the way social media has played a part in that because these kids have all grown up in a world of Insta, right? Insta everything, Instagram, et cetera, right? When it was X, when it was Twitter, everything is instant. Everything is instant gratification. And it's also incredibly fleeting, right? That post that was on Instagram, you go back a minute later, you can't even find it because there's been thousands of other posts already over that one. So they grow up in an instant gratification world, and athletics is completely counter to that, right? Because it takes time to develop and grow and be good at whatever it is you do. But they're constantly bombarded, and we got to have it now. It's got to be now. So that mental piece of it has got to be it's got to be pretty interesting to be growing up in this age now, being a teenager and trying to be an athlete, yet trying to deal in the Insta world.
Well, you think of the classroom, and everybody wants to be have an high average. It's all about achievement and being at the top. And that's what young kids are faced with. To get into university, the academic requirements, I think at times are too high. and they might lose sight of the values needed to get to a higher level of anything. So it's really interesting. In fact, Ray, thank you for joining us. You've got a colorful background there, and I like the shirt you're wearing, buddy. Ray, we've got a new guest on, Mike Harder. He's a coach at men's coach at Colgate University, and we've been talking about the university hockey and the perspective of student athletes versus pros and the portal. And we did talk about minor hockey kids becoming overzealous in their attempt to achieve goals, having expectations that are unrealistic and not realizing what you have to do to get there. So I'm glad you got on, Ray. I got your bio that I sent out in front of me. I'm just going to read a little bit of this for the sake of everybody here. You know, I knew that you had worked in sport, and it's all about peak performance. And the phrase, the right amount, the right stuff at the right time, I think in a nutshell, sums leadership. And I think, Mike, with coaches, I find they overload information. It's the right stuff, but it's too much. It's not the right time. So it's very distracting to the athlete. And in my mind, Ray, that having listened to you, coaches have to say nothing sometimes. And they have to learn to ask questions. And that's something I'm sure that you realize. But, you know, as far as name dropping goes, you know, the professional teams you work with, you didn't mention the university football teams and the hockey teams that I got to work with through you, but you work with the Rough Riders, Alouettes, the Tiger Cats, the Nordiques, now the Avalanche and the Senators. But your corporate clients, and I'm reading here, RJR Innovations, KenMed, Abrica Health, Proficient Incorporated, Woodman Life, and there's a list of 10 more companies. And you published several books, and I'm interested in your latest one, but I wonder if you could tell us a bit about yourself, how you got into what you're doing, and how you got into leading to what you're doing now. Go ahead, Ray.
Thanks, Wally. Thanks for inviting me and allowing me to share. I know that you record the meeting, so I know that you're going to reach out with some of these choice clips that you know so well how to extract. But I'll go right from the beginning. A few words about where I come from. I come from Sudbury, not the city, but outside of Sudbury, and was born and raised on a farm. 7 plus 1 kids, meaning that my mother died and my dad remarried and had a half sister. And I guess being the third in the family, and also when my mother died, I was 11 years old. Uh, you know, on a farm, we all had chores, and mine was to assist her as she progressively degenerated with cancer and passed away. And I was 1 year taking care of the house while my 2 older brothers worked outside, and my dad was working at Inco because needed to top up our income. So that background gave me that sense of nurturing and helping people to be the best they can be. It grew as I went through school, played football, hockey, all kinds of sports. Ended up in University of Ottawa. I'm an engineer by profession, and I played with the GGs and was in the corporate world for many years in the petroleum industry and then with Environment Canada. But when I came back to Ottawa, I had started seeing the light of my mission, if I can use that term. And so I got in touch with the football coach, Larry Ring, and talked to him about what my concept was about performance. And he latched on to that. Boy, I have to be very thankful. He was a visionary in some fashion because he saw how that could help performance for the team, the GG's football team. And so we went on a run of 4 years straight in bowl games, culminating in the Vanier Cup '97. Then he left, and I continued with his successor, Marcel Belfa, who became a pro coach after coaching at the university level, where we won the Vanier Cup in 2000. All the way through, I keep saying, like the football team was my lab. I developed concepts and techniques and approaches that I worked with the coaches and with the players. On the organizational side, I worked with the coaching group, with the captains, and on the individual side, I helped players who wanted to raise the level of their performance with what is commonly called sports psychology. Now, remember, I'm an engineer, so I don't talk about sports psychology. I talk about mental mastery. And my first book, published in 2011, was essentially originated in that work. That, at that time, I had now over 20 years working with the various teams like hockey, soccer, basketball, and football at the University of Ottawa. And that allowed me to, because I had connections, Gilles Léger, who you may know the name, I'm sure you know the name, was the general manager in Quebec. And I got in touch with him. I told him what I was doing, so he brought me in. And that's how I ended up with working with the Quebec Nordiques. The pro football aspect was with working with Marcel Belfa as he went through his career as a professional football coach. Now, I'm talking about sports because a lot of the stuff that I developed had its origin in sports. And my belief is that in sports, it's the metaphor for life. What happens is that in sports, as you know, because you're all coaches, you've got to be careful. Sometimes either you do something or you omit to do a certain thing, and that causes chaos in a team. Big word, chaos, perhaps, but essentially that's what it is, because when you go on the ice or you go on the football field or basketball floor, you're kind of disconnected, dysfunctional. And a lot of it has to do with what's going on in the dressing room. So from that knowledge development, I brought it into business, and I do the same kind of work with businesses, CEOs and middle management, senior management. And in my experience, I have, how should I say, I've been blessed with the unbelievable results that have happened because people started aligning on purpose and applying what I talk about in the book as effortless effectiveness. And that has to do with everybody being on the same page. So that brings us to today, where I have published this book in January 2026. Excellence is about a process that helps organizations or individuals to go through a breakthrough transformation. And the analogy that's used is the chrysalis moving into the form of a beautiful butterfly. When you go through that process, you can't go back. It is as simple as that. You become aware and able and empowered to make use of all the gift. I like to use that word because Wally not really introduced me, but kind of talked at length with me about the gift. And everyone has a gift. And as a coach, now I'm kind of getting into perhaps the stuff that we want to promote is to help coaches understand that if they've got 25 athletes, each of them has a gift, and the most important duty for the coach is to recognize that gift and create an environment where that gift can grow. So I'm very excited about what's happening right now because my book is taking flight. I just got a call this morning for a bunch of them to distribute in Vancouver. And the reason why I'm writing is to share that knowledge, the experience that I have lived through coaches, through business leaders, of what happens when you do the right stuff in the right amount at the right time. Thank you, Wally.
Ray, I had one question as you were talking. I've been taking quite a few notes. I like the metaphor of life and line on purpose and getting on the same page. One of the things I wrote down with, and I don't like limiting, I'm wondering about the difference you working with players and then working with coaches. And then later we can get on to the difficulty you might have had or challenges working with administration or the powers of that actually run the professional team. So can you talk about players and coaches? What's the difference between players and coaches?
I will relate a little story to illustrate. Jacques Martin was a coach with the Senators. And I remember one day I had lunch with him. And he said, we have a challenge. And I don't know what to do about it. And the fact of the matter is, at that time, I think that it was more prominent or the difference was greater than it is now. That the coach is paid, like at that time, he was like $300,000 a year, and he's dealing with players that are paid $5 million. And he says, like the difficulty is to find a way to tell those players what you want when they're kind of derailing. And one name, I'll name him because he doesn't play anymore. His son is in the NHL. Radek Bonk was one of his challenges. And the idea, I think that, like I dip into my business knowledge too when I'm going to say this. is that, ever since I started working on continuous improvement, the big deal is about self-managed teams. Well, in a hockey team, like if everything were equal, we have a group of leaders, or, they call them captains, but I call them leaders. And those guys have got to be aligned, number one, because if they're not aligned, you're in trouble. You've got to be aligned with the coach's philosophy and system, and like the way that they're going to, like for the good of the game, like you say, Wally. And when you start having that result, then you get performance on the ice. And I think that the big challenge for coaches is to become part of that circle that is a self-managed team, and recognizing that they have a very specific role to play, just like the players have a very specific role to play. And you were around, Wally, when we did that circle, that performance circle with the GGs. I think that this exercise should be something that's done like often with the players, so that everybody's on the same page, so everybody feels that they are heard and they are valued. And like, it doesn't matter if a player is like a top line center, for instance. I'm thinking of my time in minor hockey where I was coaching in Sarnia, where we had a player that, like, the coach didn't know any better, I guess, but he was playing him all the time because he was a top dog. And what happens to the other guys that are not as good, right away, you're kind of saying you're not as good, therefore you don't belong on the ice. And that creates, well, like this dysfunction in the team. So very important, players and coaches. I think that one of the most important thing is that everybody understands their role, and everybody gets the feeling, develops the feeling that what they contribute is valued. Whether it's somebody that works, that goes on the ice. Now I'm thinking about NHL, like 10 minutes versus a 25-minute guy. They're all as important, because in the end, you can't do it with one player. It's got to be the whole group. I think that applies for minor hockey too.
Ray, it sounds like the real leadership is within the team itself, and the coach has to figure that out. And
There's no two ways about it. Like, again, in sports is a metaphor for life. So things happen very fast. But in business, it's the same thing. Number one, you have to have the right people on the bus. They call that, Jim Collins Good to Great, talks about having the right people on the bus. But if we start with that premise that we have the right people on the bus, then we have to make sure that everybody feels like they belong. Because if they don't, then you're fighting against yourself.
Ray, I want to talk about, you said the right people on the bus, and Mike and Tom and Peter. A coach identified to me, he said, Wally, you better know the guys who are at the back of the bus. They're the leaders. And it's really amazing how socially they're the ones playing cards, they're the ones mingling. They're not the, sort of the isolates or the withdrawn individuals. And they could be your drivers. And I have to admit, Ray, in my first year coaching major junior, I was way out of my league. I'd only coached 1 year of junior A, was a skills coach at a higher level, but not a team coach. And I had no idea who my real leaders were. And it undermined me in the end. And it was my fault. So it's a really important lesson here. Mike, I wonder if you can comment in Colgate in terms of that leadership example. I know the bus story is a bit of an analogy, but I saw you nod your head.
Yeah, I think it self-selects sometimes. There's classifications in college hockey, your freshmen, sophomore, junior, seniors, and you hope you groom your seniors by the time they get to their senior year to be your leaders. And they are the back of the back of the bus guys. But you do find the odd guy that comes in and he's just a natural leader from junior hockey, and then you want to empower that guy in the class. But it does self-select somewhat at the college level.
I'll say this to that. It is that what you've just said kind of alludes to the fact that the coach has to do the work to know his players. It is paramount because when you know the player, you'll know his tendencies, his preferences, his beliefs. And sometimes, and like at least I did it a bit with the Nordiques, but at the university level, I sat with the coach and the players and observed the discussion. And one of the things that, like it's not only in sports, it's in business too. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth. I think that one of the best gift that a coach can give his players is to listen. Ask good questions and listen. There's a tendency to think that if you do that, you won't be as, like Mr. the boss. And the idea is that, like human beings respect people who respect you. So if a coach, and again, at the beginning, I said, like what you did or didn't do, there are times when the players feel they're not respected. And it's not because the coach is not good or is not caring. It's just that he doesn't realize that what he's doing to a certain player or with a certain player is causing that player to lack trust. Because one of the things that will get you a championship, bar none, is if you establish trust as a coach, establish trust with the players, they will go to the wall for you. And I have lived it more than once. I lived it myself when I was playing. We won a championship in 1964. We had no business winning it. And it was because we were all on the same page. We all went the same direction. We supported each other. And we beat a team that had killed us during the season. And we beat them like they had this. I'm talking about football. They had a kickoff return for a touchdown, first play of the game, and we beat them 22-14. It was a team effort. The same story repeats itself over and over and over again. Teams that over deliver. You go in there and listen to what's going on, and you'll find that there is trust amongst the players and amongst players and coaches and players, so that they feel it. Well, I don't know. I'm stopping my trend because I want to mention the GG's hockey team last year that won the national championship. And Yannick, Wally?
Yes.
And, like he espouses many of the concepts. And it was not a surprise for me to see a number 8 ranked team go all the way to the championship because the players respected him. He respected his players. He listened to them. They participated in decisions, and it made all the difference. When they came against, a team that was supposed to be better than them by a long shot, they outlasted them. They beat them in overtime.
Well, Ray, I just wanted to make a point here for the others. And this is a story from an American League coach, Dominic Pittis. When I asked you the question, the difference between players and coaches, well, I think the biggest difference with coaches is egos. And uh, telling the players all that they know, not what they need to hear. Telling them too much, overloading them. And a good example, and Mike, this is an interesting story. Dominic was a Flame Skills coach. He became an assistant coach with the farm team. He was responsible for special teams. And the typical routine, and he Zoomed me and he showed me his 30-minute presentation that he was going to do tomorrow with the power play people of the Stockton Heat. I mean, I shut him off after 5 minutes. I said, Dominic, they've been playing power plays for so many years, for so many different coaches. I said, use a different approach. Break them into groups, in their units, and find out what they see in the power play, what they think they're doing well, what they could do differently, what the opposition does. And each group worked by themselves as a group and then presented to the rest of the group. The feedback at the end of the year, that was the best video session they ever had. I think we underestimate the players' thinking process, and by acknowledging it, truly acknowledging it, you gain respect. And until you ask a question, you have no idea what they're really thinking and what they understand.
Yep. I'm going to have to move on to another meeting, as I told you, Wally. But, we can keep going on this discussion if you want to pursue next week. Because to me, that's the heart of the matter. Like our coaches create an environment where players want to be, enjoy playing, and support each other, and like to be together. The sky's the limit.
Well, Ray, I want to thank you for coming on, and I definitely will check with you in the next few weeks to see if you're available, and we might try to narrow down the talk. We've got Sammy Joe Small joining us now, and I'm sure she'll enjoy listening to it in the future.
Yeah, I would have liked to have her to exchange, but I have a coaching session starting right now, so I'm going to have to catch up next week, perhaps.
Before you leave, Ray, Sammy Joe is taking, it's your master's in leadership?
Yes, my MBA. Hi, Ray. Good to see you again. I know you have to leave. You probably are starting right away with your client, so.
Yes, I have to leave. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, we'll chat soon.
Yes.
Anyway, your speaking engagements with the corporate world, and you've worked at managing female hockey teams. And so what Ray's talked about is the question I asked him, the difference between players and coaches and working with them in his capacity. And well, on the professional level, looking at the people who really run the organization and how you can get them all pulling a rope the same way.
So what did he have to say? What were the best parts of what he said?
Well, I wrote down a bunch of things. He doesn't like mental training. He uses mental mastery. That's one of his key terms. Uh, you have to be aware of the gifts of everyone in your team or your organization. And you have to make use of them in a way that they feel valued. He says good teams self-manage themselves. He says coaches become part of the leadership circle. They aren't the key to the leadership, but they need to become part of it. And you got to get to know your players by asking good questions and listening. That will lead to trust. I wanted to ask him about Terry Orlick at the University of Ottawa, who's a formal sports psychologist. And we're sort of in a practical realm. The language we use is not as academic, it's related to, related to the nuts and bolts of achieving success. But I'm sure we're going to have Ray on in the near future. And Sammy, we've got Mike Carter, coach of the Colgate men's program, on.
Hi, Mike. Nice to meet you.
She's a Winnipeg girl too, Mike.
Hi, Sammy. Yeah, it's good to be with another Manitoban on this panel. Nice to meet you, Sammy.
Nice. You're from Winnipeg?
Just outside St. Adolphe, little town.
Oh, from St. Adolphe. Nice. And how old are you?
I'm your era. I'm a 73.
Oh,
You're a
okay.
70
Yeah, my
you're a
brother was
76?
73. I'm 76, yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun. So we would have never played against each other, I guess, because you were 3 years older.
No, correct. I think it's fascinating, though, that you played ACHA on your road to Canadian Olympic team. I think it's such a peculiar thing. I guess in the 90s, it was maybe a little different, but I find that
Well,
fascinating.
yeah, as just a brief aside, I know that Wally probably has other things to talk about. But it was never a choice. Like there was no
Right,
NCAA women's hockey.
right.
In fact, when I was graduating from high school, because I was playing boys AAA, I was talking to some of the men's coaches in the NCAA. I didn't know. Like you grew
Right.
up in Winnipeg, you have no idea. And so I was chatting with them. None of them mentioned they had women's teams, that even if they were club, but nobody said that. So
Mm,
all of them, there's probably 3 or 4 that were like, oh, you could walk on, like you could come to tryouts.
mm.
Um, but I was a track and field athlete also, and I could get a full scholarship if I pursued that. So I kind of gave up hockey and then ended up at Stanford and realized they had a team. And so ACHA meant nothing to me. We played in the Pac-10, so that's all I knew. We played in the Pac-10 and we traveled around and
Right,
you
right.
got to do this for free. This seemed like pretty cool. And the track and field coaches never knew that I played until we went to nationals one year, and then they saw it in the papers and I had to inform them.
They didn't
And they
know.
tried to stop me from playing, but yeah,
What was your
so
track event?
I threw discus and javelin,
No kidding.
which
Wow.
as a Winnipegger is a lot easier to get on to teams when you have, and my brother was a swimmer. So
Mm,
you have times, you have distances. Coaches never have to go and watch you play. Like it's very different. Um, yeah, and just a whole different, I mean, as you know, back then I don't even know if I had a Betamax. I don't think we even had VHS to be able to send out tapes. Um, so yeah, but how long have you been at Colgate?
right. Forever. Fourth year as head coach. I was an assistant before and I played here before, so a long time.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. My good
But
friend Tara French played there back in the day.
oh yeah, sure.
Hmm.
Oh, did you
Very
know
cool.
So
Evan Schumi?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I know Evan really well. I recruited him and coached him. Yeah.
I'm playing hockey with his dad tomorrow.
His
His dad
dad's a
helped
great
me coach
guy.
at State. Mike,
Yeah, they got some Swiss connections there, the Shumis. Yeah.
yeah, well, yeah, I think they're both born there, and Mike played 10
Yeah.
years there.
Yeah. Great family. Yeah. Yeah, really great. Sammy Joe, it's such an honor. I'm so excited that you're on. I didn't know you were going to be on today, so I'm so happy that I'm here to
yeah,
share in
this
your
is fun.
talk.
I try to pop in whenever I can and yeah,
Oh,
get
that's
to see
great.
these guys and hang out. So
Oh, awesome.
I don't do anything else but listen to these guys and just take in all their wisdom. So
That's what I'm trying to do.
Mike, Peter, and Tom, one of the things that I have to say I've been so privileged to be a part of is having to work with such incredible athletes. And Sammy Joe's a good example, a high achiever academically and athletically in multi-sports. And I think, Sammy, the thing that I take away from having coached all those years in the women's program is I've begun to value the intellect of the athlete. And today's young athletes, Mike, and you can allude to this, they're probably ahead of us in terms of their thinking process. I know they are ahead of me, and technologically they're into AI and you name it, but I am almost afraid to tell them anything. So I find a good methodology is asking and seeing what they think and moving forward based on their feedback. So I think it's a shift in coaching for sure, Peter, from our era. Mike, I think we played with coaches who do it this way. It's my way or the highway, and ride the pine, and this kind of thing. And you did what you were told, and you didn't play a very creative game. You played a low risk, robotic game, and I'm worried that some teams are still doing that at different levels. So, but Sammy, it's so good to have you on, and the MBA course that you're taking on leadership. Where exactly are you in the process? And when you do graduate and get some certificate, what's it going to do for you?
Wally, you sound like my parents. Like, when are you getting a real job? Um, I am doing it through Cornell and Queens, so you get a degree from both, which is pretty cool. We're about halfway through, but we're about 2/3 of the way through classes, and then we do a consulting project, and it has to be overseas. So this is an America's program. It can't be in North or South America because that's where my cohort comes from. So yeah, it's been amazing. But Wally, if you remember last week, we had conversations about NCAA and how NCAA coaches keep athletes now with NIL and the portal system. So can we ask Mike that? Because I feel like we rarely get an NCAA athlete or a coach on, and how it is transformed, especially because Mike, it sounds like you've coached there for a long time. So the loyalty, how do you coach differently? People are in and out. Is that okay, Wally, if we go in that direction? Because I feel like we need to.
Perfect segue, because Mike did talk about this.
Oh, he already did. Okay, before I got here.
It's worth repeating and going through your. He's frustrated, and he's
Okay.
personal stories to tell, and he's having to live with the portal. And the portal isn't only at the NCAA; it occurs in minor hockey. Kids choose.
Yeah, that's what we talked about last week and now women's hockey is like that too. So like I'm consulting with my friends, like parents who don't know how to navigate it. Lots are brand new to hockey and they don't know how to like get an edge up. And anyways, it just seems like it's bananas, and I can't even imagine what it's like coaching in that system.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah. Are you coaching youth hockey, Sammy Joe? Are you?
So I still run a hockey school in Winnipeg. Actually,
do?
and here I live in Oakville now, or Mississauga, but I run one in Oakville. So I run it at Gateway. It's my 26th year running it at Gateway. So my daughter doesn't play, but I still go out to like friends practices and
So
stuff like
I
that.
would think people you're sort of a neutral.
I'm totally neutral. Exactly. Like I'm
So
kind of outside of it.
so
Yeah,
I'm sure people ask you for advice all the time on
all
should
the
I
time. And
play
I
for Mississauga or should I go to prep school or should I go to,
totally, and I don't know really what to tell them. Tell
you
like
don't you don't have like gut instinct advice you would give them?
Well, what I tell parents is to ask your kid first off what they want. Do Are they enjoying their team? Do they like their friends? Like, I am so much more. My hockey school is all about fun. I put all different age groups on the ice at the same time. There is, I get my Olympic and PWHL friends to come and coach, but if yeah, it is all about just building up the base of the triangle. It is not about getting kids to the next level, and I think that that's what is the problem with sport right now, really. They all want to get to that next level, and I just want these parents to sometimes chill a little bit. But anyways, I want to hear from you.
Well, but if you're not careful and the kids start having too much fun, they'll want to be at the rink all the time and they'll want to develop. So, like we used to play hockey instead of, work hockey or work the system at least, but there was a time. Yeah, it's hard, but as a Manitoban, I don't complain about it. So we just adapt. And so how do you foster loyalty to a program? How do you foster trust? It's a hard thing. Um, I try to make a point of visiting every kid that we commit or recruit. I try to make a point of making my way to their house and inviting myself over for lunch or dinner to know their family and pet their dog. And that does seem to help. Um, at an institution like ours, there is loyalty to the degree. It's important to graduate from Colgate because it can set you up for life. So we try to do that. But there's still
Build that
plenty of
up.
guys that just want to play in the NHL and play pro hockey and take a shortcut to it. So it's hard. Navigating the portal is hard. Um, but how do you build that loyalty, right? So, Wally, you might have more to say about it than I do. Um, Agents don't make it easy either because they're paid to try to find a better route for their guy or a quicker route. Listen, we had a guy decommit, or not decommit, a transfer to a much worse school, to a terrible school, for his senior year. And his reason was he didn't feel like he played quite enough in our last playoff game. He thought he was disrespected and saw it trending that way. And he was going to be a guy he was played like 25 minutes probably next year. He's a really good defenseman for us, a meat and potatoes kind of guy, but like really great. And he decided that. So it's about fostering different relationships or trust. I can't yell at guys. I'm not a yeller anyhow, but I can't yell at guys. We have to make sure not to embarrass guys on video because that'll stick with them. But Wally alluded to it. It happens in youth hockey, right? Sammy Joe, you're seeing it with I'm sure girls going to different programs or trying to find the silver bullet, and that doesn't exist. There used to be a time where first years would pay their dues and maybe not be on the power play right away. Now, if I have a first year that was great in the Western Hockey League, I have to play that guy. Otherwise, he's going to be transferring.
So you don't redshirt kids anymore.
Oh gosh, no, 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 that's not a thing. Yeah, no, that's not a thing. No, they have to
And what
come
about the
in.
5 year thing now? Is that going to make a big
Oh
impact for you?
God, you're killing me on that. So it's great for institutions like ours because we don't have we're a 4 year institution like most. We're not an Ivy,
Could
but like the
could people do masters and stuff if they wanted?
Yeah, we don't have a master's program. We have a
Oh,
tiny one in education, but it's not something that
okay.
actually people do. It's just a state sponsored thing. So it kills us. So what we're going to do is we'll try to convince kids to play one more year at junior, and then they'll just have 4 years of eligibility and come to us for 4 years. Or what really stinks is that we'll develop them for 4 years, and then the fifth year they'll play against us. They'll go somewhere else.
And they enter
So
the portal. That sucks. Oh,
yeah, and it's so easy to enter the portal. It's the easiest thing, so they can just do it if we can keep them for 4 years. So, but I'm not complaining about it. I'm just evolving.
yeah. And did you go to school in the States?
Yeah,
You
Colgate.
went to Colgate. So obviously, going to school, wherever you go to, you develop friendships with people in your dorms and stuff. Is that less so now? Like,
It's not. I mean, okay, so at Colgate, definitely not because you actually have to go to class at Colgate. You actually have to meet people on the hill and have conversations, and it's a smaller school, so there's a lot of interaction going on, especially in all the Division 1 athletes. We support it. We'll go to volleyball games. Our guys go to basketball games. Everything, right? So that's a lot of fun. But at a lot of schools, most schools now in Division 1 hockey, they're just an American League team. They practice every day at 10. They take all their classes online. So you go from your dorm to the rink, and that's basically it. Or your apartment to the rink. You're fed all your meals at the rink. It's very isolated. Um, and
So
that
you're not
seems
developing that brand loyalty. Like you don't care where you graduate from.
not at all. Not at all. It doesn't matter. And will they even stick around for graduation or for the degree? No, they're just doing the bare minimum to get by and then chase it, you know.
Yeah, I'm
It's
I turned 50 this year, and so I'm going on a 50th trip with my freshman college roommates. Like
isn't that
it'd be so weird if I would have left. Like it would have just felt, I don't know.
right? All these relationships. And it's a network. And I mean, your freshman year college roommate at Stanford is probably doing pretty amazing things, whatever that
Right.
person's
They're
doing,
all
right?
doing like such different, eclectic. Yeah.
Of course. And what a great network you're plugged into because of it, right?
Hmm.
But you try telling that to an agent, right?
Right. So
They
are you
don't
talking to agents then more than kids when you're recruiting?
all the time. That's basically it. The other thing that's really curious about this transfer portal thing, is we don't get a chance to get to know the kid. Like I can spend 20 minutes with a kid in the recruiting process and know if that kid will thrive at Colgate or not thrive at Colgate, be a good alum, not be a good, like I can get a sense of that and build my culture. In the transfer portal, you have 5 minutes to see a kid's name pop up, contact the agent, have a quick call, make an offer, and yes or no. You know, so it's a culture
You don't get
killer.
to talk to them.
Well, I can't talk to them officially until the portal opens. It's a short window. But if we're waiting for kids to go in the portal, we're behind it, right? We need to know from
Oh
the
my
agent
gosh.
a month before, 2 months before.
Yeah.
It's really hard. It's really hard to build that culture that you used to be able to build
When
through
you,
recruiting.
this might be offside, I don't know, but when you go to a rink and you're playing other teams, like, are you allowed to just be around and talk to kids on other teams, or is that against? Like, not
No,
to
that's
draw them over, but just to get to know these kids.
no.
You're not
That's
allowed to talk.
no. That's verboten. It's all done
Gotcha.
through agents. Yeah, yeah.
So you would have no idea what these kids are like, even if you played against them. Maybe their body language on the
Yeah,
ice,
no, but
or
I mean, hockey's a small world. We call all their previous coaches and things like that, but still, you don't know the kid, you don't know the family, and they don't know us. So, to your loyalty point, we're just another place for them to play hockey.
hmm.
It's not like they've been invested in coming to Colgate University for a couple years, or they value the degree. They're just like,
Right.
well,
They
can I
might
be on
see a
the
center is graduating from your program and they just want more ice time.
exactly right? Yeah, can I be on your power play?
Yeah, exactly. Interesting. And so, how have you changed your coaching style, like just the actual physical day-to-day practice?
Yeah, that's a hard, like I can't raise my voice. I can't, I got to be really careful when scratching kids and giving them reasons or you're not playing. We also like we really think about if it's between a senior and a first year and it's a close call who might play or who might be on the power play. It used to be the senior earned it, right? They stuck with us. They did it. Now the senior might have earned it, but we have to play the first year or the sophomore because we're worried that they might transfer.
Right. So the
It's
senior
it's
can't now anymore.
it's upside down. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. Which is kind of sad. It's not how it's supposed to be, but we need to do that to survive a little bit. Otherwise, we'll
Yeah, and a
just
lot
get
of these
hit.
kids would have gone through the system playing
Yeah.
AAA all the way through where they can kind of. So I don't know if you know this in Manitoba, is there so living in Ontario you can play anywhere now. But growing up, like we were in our catchment, that's where you played. You couldn't
Yeah.
play anywhere else unless you got cut, then you could
Right.
move. Does that still exist like in other provinces or is that just an Ontario thing?
I think it's wide open. Yeah. I think it's like the US a lot more now. I
So
think
kids
at
can go
the
anywhere.
I think at the AAA Bantam and U18 level, I think you have to play. Like if you live in Eastman, you have to play for Eastman. If you live in Pembina Valley, you have to play in Pembina Valley. But there are ways around that, of course. It's like that in the
Interesting.
US. All right, Pete. Like it's just a free for all in the US. You can play anywhere and you follow coaches and you're being recruited at 10 years old.
Yeah, there's again, there's no loyalty. Before you're here, Sammy, we were talking, and one of the things I mentioned was when the parent tells you that their 8-year old has made a decision in their career that they need to play at a different level. Um, so that kind of stuff goes on. Um, and
Right.
there, and again, there's no loyalty, or I say no loyalty, but far less loyalty to in the youth organizations. You played on U9 last year. Now you're going to move up, and you're going to be a U10, which is from Mike to Squirt in the States. You may not be on the team. Doesn't matter if you're on the team last year.
Right.
You just might not be on that team. So,
Right.
and then you as a coach get upset when a kid moves and say that they're not loyal.
Right, but you weren't loyal in the first place.
Right.
You weren't loyal to them. I mean, I had a kid that played for me in prep school, and he was going to go to a school, going to go to a college, and that summer a different college came on the scene, and he decided to move. Well, that coach laced him up and down in no uncertain terms when he made the call to the coach. That fall, that coach was a head coach at a different university. So there's no loyalty. There isn't that loyalty. So it's just like Mike said, it's just super unfortunate how our sport has gone in certain areas, and part of it's survival. Like what are you going to do? Like you just got to roll with it and take a breath for a moment and just move on and control what you can control. That otherwise you're going to drive yourself nuts.
Well, in Calgary, you have to play like in girls hockey Calgary and in the boys until Bantam or U15 for your they have to play for us, or there's all kinds of private organizations that say they're way better. But the one thing, just Alberta, they can't play in Alberta teams, and there was just a big tournament this weekend, so they're kind of getting shut out of that. And then when they get to U18, they can go anywhere, and that's just changed in the last few years. And it's just the Wild West. And like I'm coaching U15 right now, and my girls are going. Two are going to North Vancouver. Other ones are playing at Winsport. Uh, some go up to Edmonton and play in the Okanagan thing in Edmonton. Uh, and then there's two teams in Calgary, and they commit to some of the girls, but they seem to be more anxious about finding players from other places than Calgary. So they go all over the place. So it's crazy.
Yeah. What do we do about
Wally,
it?
I'm really enjoying the old school CIAU jacket that you're wearing.
Me too.
It's a
That's awesome.
a freebie. Back in the day when I attended all the national playoffs on behalf of Hockey Canada, I got this free shirt, so I'm wearing it today. It's a pretty old shirt.
I posted a picture of myself wearing a University of Calgary used to be called the Dinosaurs. And there's on there's a picture of a dinosaur, and then of course now they've changed it to the Dinos. But originally it was the Dinos because Dino the dinosaur at the zoo was the theme.
Oh, that's
But
cool.
then you say Dino now, but originally it was Dino and now it's Dinos. And all the teams are called that. So things have the big transition. I keep all these old coaching jackets. I coached there. That was my first year with Willie and Mike Johnson were coaching. Willie Desjardins and Mike Johnson.
Mm.
So
A quick point, like Mike was bringing up, I think, what is it? Is there a solution? And I'm talking more at the youth level. I'm not talking about above that. I'm talking at the youth level. Is there a solution? Because my least favorite phrase in the world is "it is what it is." And my counter to that is "it is what we allow it to be." So is there a way? How do you combat that, or do you, or you can, like in the States, because it's so financially driven by the organizations that are taking kids, moving kids, trying to take from this one to that one so you can win, so you can get the better kid. And again, Sammy leaving that kid and everybody else leaving that kid out the next coming year. So is there a solution? Is there a solution to that? And if there is, who makes that? Is it a governing body? Is it USA Hockey? Like in the States, is it USA Hockey that steps in? Like who makes that call? Because the system is broken. I mean, it's broken from really from top to bottom in some ways, from collegiately on down, I would say. So, but who makes it? Whose responsibility is that?
Well, Peter, I deal with that at Hockey Canada, and it's an impossible scenario because at Hockey Canada, they oversee the program at Lake Hockey USA. But in the USA and Canada, every state, every hockey association is its own identity. And right now, they don't have any ability to mandate or dictate. What Tom's mentioned about you can't become a Team Alberta player, which is an avenue to playing with a national team and a great avenue to getting a good scholarship if you make the provincial team. And that's the one thing that Hockey Canada is allowing. That you have to be a part of its program, come under its umbrella, not a private league. And it's really difficult because let me tell you, working with every province, incredible people, but they have their own way of doing things. And trying to present ways that we're going to help develop a player become a national team player, whether it's player evaluation traits and how to grade them and score them and collate them. And just in terms of simple, figure it out, offensive team play and defensive team play tactics, what I consider to be fundamental roadblocks to building performance. That was really difficult to implement and to suggest. So you end up just doing your best at trying to give them the resources that are available. And in the end, they're going to do what they want to do. And it may not, it may be better than what we're doing, but hopefully they figure out the best things for their environment. But
Well, can you move your camera up a little bit? Your forehead is out of there. There you go. Perfect.
But Wally, is there much I mean there's always the athletic guidance, right? USA Hockey has the ADM model and that kind of thing. But is there any guidance to local youth organizations about ways to educate the parents and to try to keep your people, if you will, you keep your families, like tips, things that they can do? Like, is there any kind of that education? Because we're big on the hockey education, but that doesn't seem to be in our world of sports today. That does not seem to be the X factor. The X factor seems to be all those everything else we're talking about, right? The loyalty, the subjects today. We're talking about loyalty. We're talking about commitment. We're talking about being part of a team and the importance of that. None of which you get when you're hopping around every year. So is there any portion of that that goes on? I don't feel like there's a lot of that here.
well, Peter, I don't think you've been with the Sharks long enough to realize that in the 70s, in my role with Hockey Canada, I created coaching certification modules that were based on ethical coaching and creating a team mission statement based on values. And if that had been incorporated back in the day when certification was under Hockey Canada's umbrella, I believe a lot of what we're talking about today would be better handled.
Yeah, well, I love your missions. I love your mission statement. I wasn't aware that, that it was that close to being such an edict because I love that. I love what you do with that.
Yeah, it slipped through the cracks, and that happens administratively. As organizations change, leaders change, the good things that went on before, people are coming in with their own ideas, their own flavor of the month. And I think it's just typical of, when Ray was on, I talked about, oh boy, you've got a new general manager set up going in Toronto. And where does that fit into the leadership paradigm? And the idea of pulling the rope the same way in an organization. Because let me tell you, talking to Haley Wickenheiser, there's one word that epitomizes most organizations. And hers is a good example of that dysfunction. Very dysfunctional. They don't work together, and the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing, and the players are the ones left hanging to dry. So leadership is, we can talk about X's and O's and all the drills you want, but until you know why you're doing what you're doing, and you adhere to a values-driven process to be the best you can be, you're never going to lose. You may not keep the best players, but people will be there for the right reason, and they'll serve.
Yeah, and Peter, I think it's talking about it like this. It's having people like you and like people that want to evoke change and that are changing in their area. I want to shake a lot of people and say we all end up in recreational hockey. Like you play minor hockey for 10 years and you play recreational hockey for another 40. So why is the focus on that 10 years? Like where is the rest of it, and building that base so that they continue to play and they become leaders and they want to coach and they want to give back, but they don't just want to give back to kids who are between the ages of 5 and 15, that you want to continue to give back. I mean, I just got a call there's women's national championships over 65, 75, like that is amazing to me that exists, and that there's this whole other segment of hockey that is beautiful and is there. People are enjoying the community that it builds, right? I mean, Tom still plays rec hockey and loves it, and it's all his buddies. And so I don't know how we get away from that. I don't want to take anything away from minor hockey. Obviously, it sets kids up for life. But I do want to say to a lot of these parents, like, your kid is just going to be playing rec hockey at the end. Even if they play pro, they're going to be playing rec hockey at the end. So we're gonna all end up there. And how do we do this together and become a community? That's to me what's missing. I don't know if you guys have read the book. It's called Bowling Alone, and it's a sociologist from Harvard that did a 25-year study about how in the United States, that's sort of the issue with people not participating in politics and having such a divide, is that people are not joining clubs together anymore as adults. They don't go and they don't join things like the Knights of Columbus or like a rec hockey team or things like that. So you're not meeting your community. You're not getting to see people who have different opinions than you do, and you just get siloed into your little thing. But I think that's the bigger societal problem, is that it isn't about building community. I mean, what is sport about, really? At the end of the day, fit and active, build community. Bob's your uncle. It doesn't matter if it's hockey. It doesn't matter if it's anything else. My daughter is 10. She just joined softball for the first time. Never played. Just the Blue Jays had a program at her school for girls. And so went to first softball practice. Only 3 of the girls had ever played. Another 12 kids there. Coach started with some great development. It was just amazing to see. And little kids from all different backgrounds, all just able to play. Now, at 10, could my daughter do that in hockey? Like, could these kids do that in hockey? I don't think there's a pathway for them. It's too late. They're 10, and they're too old. But like I want those programs too.
There are
So I
some
don't have an
rec
answer for
hockey
you,
leagues in
Peter.
Calgary, Sammy.
What's that, Tom?
There are some rec hockey leagues in Calgary that aren't no hitting, all this kind of stuff for beginners. So there is some of that here for
And that's awesome.
beginners.
Like, and so they can start later. Like they could start at 12 or 14.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I
Yeah,
don't.
and it would be great too if there was less emphasis on, and I'm talking about like the town youth program, just pushing, less emphasis on just pushing ahead. There's a town that we had in Connecticut that for years you played in-house until you were a peewee. So all your mites, all your squirts,
They
you
all played
all
together.
played in-house. They split everybody up, and that's all you did. And then they traveled once they hit peewee. And not coincidentally, that town's high school teams
Hmm.
were always in the mix, either winning a
Right.
state championship or being
Yeah,
right
because
there.
you're not leaving anybody out. Like nobody is being forced out
Right.
of hockey
And
by the time they're 9 or 10.
it was such a good formula, but somewhere somebody had the idea that they had to go play for, at that time, it was one like really legit AAA program. It was nuts. Like there would be 110 kids going to a mite tryout where they were going to select 4 kids. Like it was crazy. But that was
Yeah.
a true AAA. Like that was really that next level. But they just got away from that model. That town youth hockey's got away from that model of in-house, because even the
Peter,
local
have you
one.
ever been on the administrative side in your association or organization?
Yes, I actually worked for 2 years with a local organization who wanted to hear none of it.
Oh,
Then I just
like you didn't
said,
feel like you could evoke any change at all?
um, I, I could evoke some change in certain areas, more so the way they practice that type of thing, on the
Okay.
skill development, that end of it. But as far as like the organization, the people who were in charge, like the board, jumping on and saying, yeah, this is something we want, this is something we want to mandate, they weren't interested because they all had the same, if you will, new model in their head is, where is my kid going to get to from here? Not, are we going to go through this? Because I would always bring up the point, and it was a clear point, it was true, and they all agreed, but none of them really wanted to hear it, was when you go to the local high school, you would see probably 5 to 6 or more different bags from where all the kids played youth hockey, but they were all at the local high school. So you all ended up here, whereas you
Hmm.
could have played together all the way along, getting back to that formula that worked in that other program, and then you probably could win some state championships consistently. Now that high school, they have a youth organization in their town. They had a co-op because they didn't have enough kids to field a varsity team. And they have not only do they have a rink in town, but it's actually the rink where the high school practices.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I got to tell you that the tryouts never end. The Canadian Championships were in Calgary like 2 weeks ago, and Edmonton has this big organization. They had tryouts for the plus 80 team, and they cut
Plus
about 5,
80
10
team. They had
guys.
tryouts.
They had
Love it.
tryouts, so what they do is it's a 2 year rotation. 1 year they have an Alberta, provincial tournament, and the top 2 teams go to the nationals. And so Edmonton has this, and they had tryouts and they cut a few teams. Or a few players didn't make it. So it never ends.
Oh my gosh.
But one
I feel
thing I
like we
wanted
could
to
go
just
down. There probably is no solution. But I want to know, Tom, are you going to the World Championships this year?
Yeah, I'm going next week with Terry Johnson. Terry used to play for Toronto and Calgary and all this kind of stuff. I coach with him
Did you
quite a
sign up
bit.
for the coaching stuff?
No, because Canada's in Fribourg and the symposium's in Zurich. So we're going to go watch a few games. My son's going to go to Paris and then drive and meet us. So we'll just go for a
Oh,
few
that's
games
fun.
in, and that coach's site is having their coaching symposium in Edmonton this year. They've been in the States the last 5 years. So I registered for that for August 6th to 8th.
You
But
said that
yeah,
you really enjoyed Jessica Campbell's presentation last year, but did you see she's not going to re-sign with
yeah,
Seattle?
I read that you wouldn't be with Seattle next year. One of
Mm-hmm.
my former players from Wally helped me coach, plays defense for Seattle now.
Mm.
But I
Yeah,
don't
I
think
had
he
a
was on their power
conversation
play
with
though.
Wally. You don't have to put this on the final video, but I had a conversation with Bailey Bram when I was playing at a Hockey Helps the Homeless in Winnipeg, and Bailey's really close with Jessica. They played national team together, and she was just saying it's really hard when a new coach comes in. Usually, they get to bring all of their people with them. And Jason Botterill, Jennifer's brother, is the GM there, and kept Jessica on, even though the rest of the coaching staff was gone. So the new coach is coming in. They don't know her. Whether it's a woman or a man, it's different, right? And so I think she felt like she was just being pushed out a little bit, and not a great environment, and wasn't allowed to talk to the players like she could under the previous coach who she had coached with in the AHL, and they all moved up together. So
Yeah, well, it's hard to be an assistant and then a new head coach comes in. That's what happened. Willie Desjardins went to Japan and Tim Bothwell came in and took over. Well, he inherited Willie's staff, and and every head coach wants to have his own staff, right? So it's always a different dynamic.
so
But
how do you manage that when you get a new head coach in as an assistant?
as an assistant,
Yeah,
well,
like what do you do?
well, you try to figure out what they want, and be someone that they can work with. But yeah, I just think coaches want to bring in their own staff and people that, I know when I've taken over for a few coaches, I've always brought in my own staff. I did it at SAIT and I did it at where else? I can't remember. But yeah, it's just nice to work with people that you already know and they know what you want to do. So it's a tough situation for her, for sure, because I wondered when the head coach, I was surprised they kept her on, tell you the truth. But she was really good. That she gave a terrific presentation. But,
Mike, do you have rotating assistants? Like, do you find that they go on to head coaching jobs other places? Like, are you
Yeah,
grooming
no,
them
for sure.
for future or no?
No, we've had the same group for 3 years. We actually will be. It looks like we're moving on from one. He's going back to where he went to school. He's going back to Yale, um, as an assistant. No, we don't revolve that much. But when I did come in as the head coach, I did bring my own people in, obviously. Um, but at the college level, sometimes you want to keep a guy if he's an alum, just for institutional knowledge. It's important. But I was an alum and I worked here as an assistant previously, so it was pretty easy to just, to
In
bring
women's
in.
hockey, it seems like, I don't know if this was the case, but it seems like you first come in at the assistant coach level, you kind of
Mhm.
learn, and then they
Yeah.
seem to pop up at a head coaching level some other place.
Yeah.
I don't know if that happens in men's hockey as much.
No, it does. It does. It seems like the men's hockey assistants are pretty young though. And
Mm.
then they go on to get a job in junior, a head coach in junior, and then from junior, then they go. You need the head coaching experience, apparently. So,
Before you come back. Gotcha.
before you
Whereas in
come
women's
back.
hockey, there's nowhere else really for you to go and get that. Unless you went
Correct.
pro, but that's almost like the next level.
Correct. Yeah, exactly right. So our current head coach on the women's side was an assistant here before. As our head coach, Greg Fargo, you probably know him, took the job with New York in the PWHL. So yeah,
Hmm.
exactly.
And so then they just moved up internally.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Mike, I've got a question for you. It's a little bit off the chart in terms of what we've been talking about.
I like it.
You grew up playing minor hockey in Manitoba, correct?
Yeah.
Can you explain
Mhm.
how you chose Colgate? what were the options growing up? When did you start to think about those options? And what did you do to get to where you got to as a player and now a coach?
How much time do you have, Wally? I'm sure a lot of you want to get home to lunch, but Sammy Joe knows that we're pretty close to University of North Dakota. So when I was playing youth hockey, we had a tournament in Grand Forks. And then we were there for a Saturday night and got to see a UND game. My dad and I went and I fell in love with it. It was an amazing atmosphere. And from then on, I knew I wanted to play college hockey. And then, you know, however fortunate enough I was, I did play for my hometown team, St. Adolphe, for until I was about 12 years old,
Were
which
you
was
guys the
great.
Hawks too, or just the women's team, the Hawks?
No, that's the
Yeah.
Hawks too. Yeah,
That's
it
the
was
Hawks.
great.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah, it was awesome. So we did that. They just put a shell over it. So there's we did have local. I think my first team though we were on the outdoor rink.
I
But
have to
anyhow,
tell Wally
uh,
that both Jocelyn LaRock and Bailey Bram and the whole family are all from St. Adolphe.
Yeah.
mhm,
So it's
mhm.
quite the hockey town.
It really is. And now the Pickering family. I don't know if you know. Owen was a first
Oh,
rounder
yes.
by
Yeah, yeah.
Pittsburgh, and his sister's here, who's a neuroscience major, and she's incredible. Avery, she's a
Yeah.
great
She
player
played
and
U18s, didn't she? Because
pretty
I cover the U18s for TSN.
correct, and also a great baseball player. Like she's a Team Canada softball player.
Cool.
It's like she does it all. Amazing. Anyhow, yeah, St. Adolph's good for that. Um, yeah. So anyhow, Wally, then I played junior. I was lucky enough. I excelled, and they recruited me, and I came to Colgate. It was a pretty simple path. Yeah, I played in the
But
Saskatchewan
was
League.
there very many Manitobans at the time that went NCAA? Like there was one, my era, there was one basketball player and one golfer, and that was it.
Yeah, that's very true. I had a mentor like that played. He was from small town Manitoba, played at Maine, so I followed his life a little bit. But that's a good point. And even still, up until a few years ago, when the CHL opened up, every kid wants to play in the Western Hockey League in Manitoba. That's it. There aren't too many that want to go to school and get a degree. But now that's changed because it's wide open, so now they can do both. So which is a good thing, I think. And you'll see more Canadians in the NCAA for
Well,
sure.
and
It's going
just
to hurt
even
USA. It's going to hurt
social
USA hockey a
media,
lot.
people know about it. Um, when I went to Stanford, most people thought I went to Stamford, Connecticut, and didn't have any idea the difference. Like that was like people, I felt like my era had heard of Harvard and Yale, and that was kind of it. University of Minnesota and UND, and that's it. Like that's
That's right.
Not Bemidji State.
No.
That's where I
like
went.
you just never really heard about it. University of Manitoba was huge, and we used to go watch University of Manitoba games, the Bisons play. So that was
Sure.
always like the big lure. But
Sure.
yeah, so
Yeah.
impressive that you had the insight, like you had the wherewithal, but you said you had a mentor, so that made a big difference.
That helped a lot. Yeah. And then the Saskatchewan League at the time, it was all scholarships. You guys know Notre Dame High School in
Hmm.
Wilcox. That was just a feeder system for so many kids to go to college. So anybody who played in that league was kind of NCAA adjacent in being recruited. So yeah, the move was to play in the Saskatchewan League. And then people got smarter. It turned into the BC League because it's a much better league, better weather, better mountains, better everything. You didn't have to live in Saskatchewan and then go to the NCAA. You could move to BC. So it
So
was a
did you
good
have to
move.
play in the MMJHL, MJHL?
Yeah, I played
Then?
1 year in the MJHL. Yeah.
Because
When I
you
was,
couldn't play Western Hockey League before you left.
that's exactly right. Yeah. Yeah. You'd be tainted or you wouldn't be able, yeah, you'd be ineligible if you played in the Western Hockey League. Correct.
Interesting.
Mike, I've got a, I heard that you watched an NCAA game,
Yeah.
and watching that one game caused you to set a goal.
Right.
And I have to tell you this story for everybody. I was in grade 12 playing senior hockey in Saskatchewan, and I went to watch Father Bauer's UBC national team play a game against University of Saskatchewan. That one game,
Mm.
I said I want to play that kind of hockey, and honest to God, it's amazing how something like that
Mm.
has influenced you and influenced me.
Hmm.
I'm not sure how many other people on the call had that sort of, game deciding moment of
Hmm.
making a difference in your life.
Hmm.
But it's just really, really, really so important that you choose where you want to go and you pursued your goals and you went there. I hate to think what it would be like being a young player today, knowing all the options and having your agent talk to you and your parents. And
There's just so many options for the kids today. Like we almost didn't know any other options. It's
Right.
like you get one and you're like, yeah, that's my goal. Now they have like I'm sure 20 different paths they could take and must be so convoluted and so hard for the kids too to make decisions, I'm sure.
there's a lot of distractive noise out there, and it takes away from their ability to play for the love of the game. Uh, Mike, I wanted to mention we talk about community and playing the game. Sammy talked about the uh, under 65 team, and Tom Malloy, he's coaching U15 AA. He's younger than I am, a year. He skates twice a week and is on the ice at practice 3 times a week. Now, Tom, can you talk about you're still playing old timers hockey? Why?
Well, because I still can.
It's
A
the
lot of my
best.
friends can't. Like every year, a couple of guys that I play with can't play anymore, and I still can, but I ripped my quad off about 15 years ago. That really affected how fast I used to be really fast. That was my MO. So now, you know, I'm 10, 15 years older than the guys I'm playing with, and I'm not very fast anymore, but they still put up with me. I still can play the game pretty good, but we call it the Oasis. Like we just got warm enough in Calgary. We go there. There's some trees outside the rink at the end of the parking lot. 15 of us sit there and have a couple of pops and BS. And I play with that group on Friday with Shumi. And I play another group on Tuesday night. And Rich Preston plays there. Remember, he used to play for Winnipeg. And Craig Levy played for Winnipeg too. He played there too. He is not playing with us. But anyway, I play with these two groups there, and it's fun. And then sitting around talking after is just like the dressing room. It's the real fun of it, and it's just something I really enjoy. So and
Well,
every
like you
Tom,
once in a
said,
while I
Tom, you're
score.
just lucky you get to do it.
Yeah.
Tom,
Oh, exactly.
I think if you asked anybody, asked Sammy Joe, you'd ask her what does she miss about the game, and you'd probably high on your list would be the locker room, right, or the dressing room. That would be it's probably super high on your list.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
never, I like Tom never stopped playing. So I play on 4 women's rec teams. I play out now, and I'm terrible, and I love it. And I'd way rather do that than go to the gym because you get to see people. I think for the same reason that Tom loves it. Just feel so fortunate you get to do it. Mike, do you get to play at all, or you probably don't because you're coaching?
Yeah, I don't, and we're kind of geographically isolated, so there aren't, we're in upstate New York or central New York, so it's not like a ton of rec leagues exist for adults here, unfortunately. But
Peter,
I
do you
do
play at
play.
all?
I do play games quite a bit with our guys, like just little like
Oh,
rebound games
nice.
or fun games, and we'll
So
challenge the
you're still in
sophomores.
it. Yeah.
Our staff will challenge a group of guys, so we're in it. We compete.
Peter, do you play? Oh, you're on mute.
Pete, unmute yourself.
You're on mute. Peter.
I got you now. Uh, no, I haven't since my hip surgeries. Since my hip surgeries, I haven't done too much of that. I've kind of traded it in for the motorcycle, and I do a lot of off-roading now with my motorcycle with a group. And it's honestly very similar socially. It's what you're talking about, Sammy. It's a bunch of us get together and like we'll go for a trip for a week at a time, and and tell old war stories, and have some adult beverages and talk about 2 or 3 guys that I ride with that I also used to road race motorcycles. So we have those kind of stories that we talk about. And then I did compete off-road too for a bit. So it's similar. It's really when it all comes down, it circles back to what your point was of everybody playing rec hockey. At the end of the day, we all come back to if we've been fortunate enough to be involved in something that we're passionate about and we find others, we can share that. And that's really where the satisfaction comes from, at this stage anyway.
Yeah, friendships as adults, I think, is so key too, right? And you can't ever take that for granted. That's what team sports can provide, or team activities, which is, yeah, so special. So,
Well, that social part, I just thought during COVID, all the rinks were shut down. So a dozen of us, and Preston was one of them, and Levy, both NHLers before, we went and at 8:30 in the morning, we went and we played at this one rink, this Wildwood has a Zamboni and they have perfect ice. And we played 8:30 in the morning, figuring that the bylaw officers were still in the coffee room because you weren't allowed to have a group of 10 and playing at the same time outdoors. Why not? I don't know. But anyways, we did that for the whole COVID 3 times a week. And our kind of cutoff was when it got to be about minus 18, which is 0 Fahrenheit, right? But otherwise, we just went out there and, we had to put on the hardest part was putting on your skates outside because your fingers froze. And then you melt after so many minutes. But we just did that just for that social part. And then we'd, go and have a beer after, stand outside and freeze our fingers off and BS
that's
and have a
awesome.
beer.
Guys, I have to get going. I have a client at noon, but Mike, it was such a pleasure to meet you. I'm sure we have so many friends in common. That's a Winnipeg thing, is trying to find who our friends in common are. So hopefully our paths cross again at some point and we can have more of a conversation. But yeah, let me know if you ever need anything through these guys. This is a amazingly helpful group of people that just want to support. So now you're one of us.
You got
Great.
David Bendini on in June?
Yeah, so he plays rec hockey. He said Dave Bedini all the way until the end of June is the end of their season. And then he would book sometime in July or August. So yeah, he said he's pretty fired up. I told him all about you guys and just wants to talk about traveling the world, playing hockey and being a musician and all the fun stuff. He's a great conversation.
Well, Sammy Joe, thanks for joining us. Mike, Peter, thanks for getting Mike on, and it's been a great session.
And Wally, every extra week that we get to spend with you is just a bonus. So it's awesome. Good to see you again.
Every moment being alive is a blessing.
Yeah. Well, you guys have a great week. Take care.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tammy.
Hi.
Bye, Sammy.
Guys, I got just one thing. We all have a love for the game, and I think that's what we want our players to do, is love the game. And
So I just want to say something, Wally.
Yep.
Is Hal is going to come to our little camp at the end of June, start of July, and he's going to do the classroom sessions. So he's not on today. I was hoping he'd be on today, but
can you explain a bit about your ice and Helters? He's running a session of U15s here in Calgary. Stampede week or pre-Stampede week?
the week before, as soon as school's over, because as soon as the next week starts, the hockey schools take over the arenas. So we've got this, and we got this. I went to Jasper and we did this for 10 years. We have 3 ice times a day. So they'll go on the ice for hockey, and then they'll go outside doing, some shooting and playing games and all that. Then hockey again. And then they go in a room there and have lunch, and Hal will present on hockey sense, basically. And then Gaston Schaefer, he does skating with him, and the goaltenders are at one end. And he does skating with him. And Gaston he's got a doctorate in body mechanics, was Swiss champion, Swiss national coach, and he skated the world for Ice Capades for 4 years, and he does the skating, and we do it for 5 days, and we found it to be a great format, and it's for girls under 15, and it basically we only practice twice a week, so it equals 2 months of practice. So, anyways,
And the game goes on, everybody. Dean,
Thanks, Wally.
I'm glad you got to join us late. I'm sorry you didn't weren't able to hear anything, but Dean,
Yeah, you guys were quick today. Geez, like sorry, my daughter needed to be I had to run her to grab some stuff she needed for class last minute. So I was hoping to get on by 9:15, but I got a little delayed, so I apologize. I missed it. And Mike, I just caught the tail end of you there, and I'll have to read up and see what exactly is going on after Wally consolidates everything. And Peter, I heard your motorcycle comment. I tried to send you. Oh, I did send you a note and you got it. So I see. So BDRs, I did Idaho and Washington. So maybe you and I have to connect separately at some point.
Yeah,
Anyway, Peter, where are you based out of, quick?
I'm in Connecticut.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a bit of a long ride, but
Yeah,
we'll,
that would be a BDR in all of itself. Just
that would
getting
be a good one. Anyway, but no, I enjoyed it, guys, and always, like Sammy says, it's always good to get on and chat. So, and Tom, I just so the other guys know, I brought both Devin and Callie up to Jasper Hockey School years ago, and similar kind of format over the weekend when Gaston was excellent with the skating, and Tom did a fantastic job, because Devin was, I think he was 4. He was pre-Timbits the first time, and Tom had U18 players, and how he conducted it, and he just wove everybody together for portions, and then put them in different parts of the rink at certain times, and the older kids helped the younger ones, and it was very eye-opening for me, the cooperation and the leadership of those kids and how they took the younger ones or the less accomplished ones under their wing and helped out. And I always thought it was tremendous. And you can see in the background an older picture of my kids when we were skating just out by Canmore in the winter several years back. But yeah, Tom, you'll have to give me more dates on that. It'd be interesting to listen to the Hockey Sense presentation.
well, it's June 29th to July 3rd, the week
Okay.
they just get out of school.
Okay. Well, we'll talk more offline. But anyway, guys, just thanks. It's always good to get caught up, and I'll have to watch the rerun Wally on the YouTube channel.
okay. All right, guys, I got to sign off here. So take care. Thanks, everybody. Another great
Wally.
session.
enjoy the weekend.
Take
Have a
care.
good
Great meeting
weekend.
you, Mike.
We'll see you later. Good luck, Mike.
Thanks. See you guys soon.
See ya. How do I work this thing here? Oh boy.